Heavens.
My goodness me.
Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Be interesting to see if that makes the edit. Mick here. Hello.
I'm assuming a lot of that's going to be edited out.
Well, probably not. Dan and I ably demonstrating there why you wouldn't want to use a looper. Happy New Year. This is the first recording we've done of 2020.
Yeah, man.
2020. And in the spirit of doing it all again, let's do it all again.
Okay.
With looping. We want to do this. Lots of people have asked for it. If you are an experienced looper, if you're into looping, if you know what looping is and you do it, this show is not for you.
Okay.
Right? Because we need to get an expert in for that. What this is if you don't know what, or if you've seen people do looping, people like Danish Pete. Who else is really good at looping? Mark Lettieri.
Yeah. Ed Sheeran. Can you honk Ed?
Oh, no, I can't.
Okay.
Sorry, I've got to take that back. You.
Yes, of course, Simon can.
Simon can.
Yeah,
there
right.
you go. Simon can. No, I've put him in various magazines over the years, but I've never actually met him.
You can honk.
Katie Tunstall.
Katie Tunstall.
Yeah. So
you've played with her, haven't you?
No.
Yes, you did. You said you'd been in Cambridge. You used to play, and she would.
No. I was around when she was around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. My friend Rob Jackson used to play.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Rob Jackson. I am for real. That's what we used to sing to Rob Jackson. Rob, if you ever watch this, hello. Anyway, blimey, tangents already. Yeah. So at one end you've got people like Danish Pete.
Yep.
And Mark Lettieri just doing sound-on-sound looping and just creating their own backing tracks for themselves. And at the other end, you've got Katie Tunstall and Ed Sheeran and many, many others, Mike Dawes. Lots and lots of people do looping really brilliantly.
Ed O'Brien.
Yeah. So we're going to forget about all those guys. Ed O'Brien. Who else did I say? Mike Dawes. Loads of people do looping. Loads of people do looping. We're going to forget about all that end of it and just go, right, you've seen Danish Pete lay down a nice rhythm track and play over the top. How do you do that?
What is it? Where is it in the chain? All that stuff.
Yeah, talk about what you kind of need to get your head around just to get into looping. And there may be those of you, I'm in this category, so we're together on this, where I really enjoy doing it, but I'm not confident enough to do more of it. So if you're in that boat, this video is for you.
I used to do a bit of it in the duo with Doug.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's a good question then. What do you use looping for?
Right. So, a number of things. In this context, it gives you can record a section, and then as you finish that section, it loops back on itself. So, if you play something rhythmical and in time,
imagine that.
It gives you something to play over.
Yeah, so practice.
Oh man, yeah, practice is amazing.
Practice is a really good way to do it. I think it can help you put ideas in context.
Absolutely.
So if you're trying to work out how a mode or a scale fits over a chord change, is a great way to do it.
Yeah, if you just, it's like, okay, I'm playing this chord, just play the chord, loop that chord, and then work over it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So practice, number one. Number two, just having fun.
Sure.
Because the best way you'll ever improve as a player is to play along to something, whether that's a record or yourself. And thirdly, what Dan touched on it, performance-wise, we're not going to get into performance today, because that's a whole other game, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean we can touch briefly on it.
Okay, Dan's going to do a performance.
No, I said we touched briefly on it. But there's I would love to get someone like Katie or Ed in to go through it, because it's quite incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's a whole art form, isn't it? I
saw Katie Tunstall the first time I saw a looper being used like that. Katie Tunstall on the Jules Holland show, and just blew my mind. Yep. She was so good.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Today we're just going to be talking about guitar, but of course as you get more advanced, then you start adding microphones into the mix as well.
That's smacking your guitar about.
Yeah. That's a different thing. We keep saying that's a different thing. Today we're just going to go for the basics. Right, so what is a basic loop? We have got two loop machines today. We've got the new Boss RC-10R, which is quite an advanced looper compared to something like the kind of thing you see lots of people using most of the time, TC Electronic Ditto, which is just about the simplest looper there is.
Yeah.
Start, record, stop, actually, stop, clear.
That's it.
And that's all it does. Yep. And that is a really great place to start. So I've mentioned that this one is relatively complex and it has a load more functions. We'll just touch on that really briefly.
Sure.
I want to look at this, Dan.
Okay.
Because I was excited about this. I saw the press release come out for this. I don't know if it was as much as a year ago, but it was a while ago anyway. Mm-hmm. And what I like about this is it adds a couple of functionality, interesting bits over your basic looper.
Right.
In that you can, as you heard in that awful intro, you can half time and double time, and you can reverse. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Dan, show us how to set up a loop.
Right, so if I just get a rhythm going. So I had two options there. I could either, when I finished the loop, I could either hit play or I could hit record dub. So the difference is there is when I hit play, I can just play over the top of it. And nothing gets recorded. But if I hit the record dub, so, and that loop, when you were dubbing, that loop would continue to record and would just build up, you know, layer upon layer upon layer, like a lovely Danish.
Most basic loopers are the same in that basic functionality. Yeah. Whether you've got one switch or two or more, start, stop, and record.
Yep.
And you can record depending on the looper. This one's got 6 hours.
You're joking.
I think that's what it said. You can just carry on recording on top and stacking. So that's it, isn't it? And it's basic. And why is that useful? Number one, rhythm.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty hard, I would say. Lots of people really struggle to get that start, stop,
right
point dead on. What are your tips on that, Dan?
I mean, I struggle with it because my rhythm isn't great. So you've got to practice with the looper. Yeah. You've got to, because like when I used to use the analog looper from ZVEX, which is Lo-Fi Loop Junkie. That's got this really weird thing where you press it and it doesn't record straight away. You know what I mean? It's really, really challenging. But they've all got their own little idiosyncrasies with that. So, to start off with, though, just tap your foot. And then, if you're going to start recording on the 1, 2, 3, and as you tap, it'll go bang. And that's how you start.
Yeah.
And then you'll finish in the same spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, finish.
A really good tip is to not play the first note of the next bar because it will double up.
Right.
We were doing that earlier. Here you go. I'll just switch to the Boss a minute.
Yep.
Just to show you that the functionality is basically the same. So to start recording, you hit it once.
Yep.
To go into play mode, you hit it again, I think. I can't remember. Because if I hit this one, this whole other side's going to come in and we don't want that.
No, not yet.
So if I play a really simple phrase, so I always, I don't know about you, but I always find that the first loop you lay down needs to be simple and straight.
Sure.
Because if you try and go for something really choppy or syncopated, the rhythm, you'll get out of rhythm and coming in next will be quite difficult. And a really strong one. So if you're counting 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So how can we improve that then? What are the steps in order to improve your time? Where would you start with that? Like if you're struggling with that basic getting the thing stopped and started on time, where would you start?
First thing is to keeping the rhythm really simple. So if you're like the rhythm that you did then was syncopated.
Yeah.
Right?
And didn't come in on the one.
And well, yeah. And so you were going, so one, but you're starting on the offbeat.
Yeah.
And so you had to be aware, you had to press it before you even played anything.
Yeah. Right, come on then, Mr. Guitar Teacher.
Okay.
You talked about syncopated rhythms being quite tough.
Mm-hmm.
So let's maybe try like a 4/4, simple thing, and let's see how in time we can be.
Okay.
And I've got a question about metronomes.
Okay, cool. So first things first, if you get a medium tempo rhythm, that's probably the easiest. If you think, okay, I need to start really slow, the slower you go, the harder it gets.
It's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Lots of guys practice like really slow back tempos and trying to land on the one. It's really hard.
Yeah.
But if you have a rhythm that you're more comfortable with, something really simple. Awesome.
One thing that happens all the time when you use a looper is you forget to clear the previous loop. We've done it about 8 times in this video already, but every time so far it's been edited out. So just to, clear your loops, people.
Right. So... So, not perfect, but again, I'd have to spend some time with this and sort of get and also we're up here.
Yeah, that's quite difficult.
Yeah, it's challenging. But you're starting on that. The next thing, if you're struggling with something like that, is to get a metronome. And as if by magic, metronome on the phone. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Can you make it louder?
Yep. Okay.
Are you going to... Yep, okay.
Cleared.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I've tried to do looping if I've laid down a rhythm track, like if you think of something like GarageBand or Logic where you have loops you can just drag into a session and whatever your BPM might be, and then I've tried to loop parts over that.
Yeah, it is really tricky.
So you've only got to be like a micro out, and then in about 16 bars time you're a beat out.
Oh, absolutely.
At least a beat out.
Yeah.
It is really difficult, but I think it's probably good discipline.
It's very good discipline.
If not necessarily to then leave the metronome running, to at least get you going.
Yeah. I try and practice as much as possible with a metronome, because if you start just playing along without anything to tie it to, you can develop some really bad habits, because I've developed those habits.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Well, time is it's as hard as the.
But I'm talking about practicing as opposed to just playing. If I sat down to practice, I'm trying to get my time better as well. However.
Well, I tell you what, before we move on,
okay,
you heard the crazy stuff in the beginning. So one additional functionality of some loopers, not all, is that they can do things like half speed, double speed, and reverse.
Yes.
And that's why I actually went out and bought this. I was so interested in this I bought it over Christmas as my Christmas gift to myself.
Oh, dude.
Because I really want to do I want to do some looping.
Okay.
Just to practice chord changes and things. So as you heard over the beginning there, you lay down your loop. So it's playing there in the background. There we've got it going.
The speed thing is really interesting because if you record something at half speed, when you play it back at normal speed, you'll be an octave higher.
Yeah.
Yep. So the other is true. If you record something at double speed, when you play it back, you're going to be an octave lower.
So it enables you to explore registers on the guitar that otherwise wouldn't be
Absolutely.
there. So here we go. We're in D, right?
Yep.
Here we go.
And now if we play that back double speed, you play just a D, suddenly we get a bass guitar.
Where would you like the D?
How do we get double speed?
Double tap.
So good. So good. So before we leave this completely,
Yeah.
So we've obviously been using rhythm.
Yeah.
One thing that you can do, and it's really awesome to do with the recording with the different speeds and reverse and stuff. If you don't mind, I'll clear that loop.
Yeah. I wanted to keep it for a rainy day.
So, right. If you are into your ambient type atmospheric stuff.
Yeah.
So if I make a really quick loop with, but what I do is I don't record the initial attack.
So there's no specific time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And all of a sudden you're Ed O'Brien and David Gilmour
All at once.
It's really cool because it's completely it's just totally absorbing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So you go if you have something like that with a bit of extra functionality, and the Clone Looper isn't the only one that can do the half and double and reverse, but it's new, so that's why it's there. Just with that extra bit of added functionality, you go from going, oh, I can't get this in time, to, well, actually, there might be other creative ways
Absolutely.
that you can use it.
Yeah. I first heard Paul Stacey do that stuff, and it just sort of blew my mind. Yeah. Really cool. Really cool.
Okay, we're going to do a very short bit on the RC-10R because it's so complex. There's so much in it. It deserves more treatment. But for the purposes of this, I wanted just to include it. If you struggle with getting that loop in time and you want something to play along to, this adds yet another thing to the pie, which is a rhythm section, right?
Rhythm pie.
So instead of you having to worry about a metronome or trying to keep your own time, you've got about 8,000 million drummers in there, approximately, I think is the official number. So we'll just do a quick bit on this before we talk about where you put your looper on your board.
Okay.
So you saw us using the RC-10R through this. It functions in the same way that the MXR Clone Looper does if you look at that side. So start, stop, basic loop. You saw us do that. In addition, please stop.
It started off the same as every other drummer I've ever worked with as well.
Yeah.
Which is
Too
crazy.
fast.
Well, pull it back.
For some reason, the BPM was up like crazy high.
They've kept it real.
He'd had 6 pints before the first song. If you do that for 2 years, you'll be 10% as good as Mark Lettieri.
Sure.
It is a brilliant way of just honing your time to play along with the drummer. And there's this is not a demo of this product. If you want to watch the demo of the product, watch Jay Leonard J's demo of it, which is absolutely amazing. I rather suspect Pete Honore's done something great on it as well. Jay Leonard J.
Jay Leonard J.
We love you,
We
baby.
love you, Jay.
He's such a good guy.
He's the best.
So it's not a demo of it, but here you go. You've got loads and loads and loads of different rhythms. And some frankly comedy fills. But these are the presets, right? So you can program in your own stuff if you want to.
You?
Yeah, it's full MIDI. It's really crazy selection of parameters for edits and stuff like that. So it's really, really programmable. You can load in your own loops, etc., etc. But for anyone just getting started, to play along with the things.
And that's really cool, because if you have a groove, and then you can set up a loop of your rhythm.
Yeah.
And then play over that. That's great.
Well, that's what happens. So you've seen the left-hand side, which is the standard looper. Now this is where I start to get lost, all right? Because I did spend an hour with it this morning, and so whatever happens next, I apologize. Each beat has got two sections.
Right.
So let's say you've got a verse and a chorus. And to do that, you start it off, and then you hold it down, and then it goes to section 2, right? So here we go. What it also has is a start and an end. So every pattern has got two patterns,
right?
A start and an end. So if you did what I did there and try and stop it at the beginning of its pattern, it's going to play a crazy fill, like some comedy fill, all the way to the end. So you need to be aware of where you are in your measure,
right,
to make those fills sound
it's basically
natural.
a full-on drum machine with a looper.
Yeah.
Right,
so then what you do, you can use those two things entirely independently, which gets hilarious, because if you try and do a loop in time with the drum track,
right,
you get out really quickly. So what you can do, and here's the point that I should have said right at the beginning, is if you're struggling with that, it will quantize this loop to the rhythm pattern. And to do that, just bear with me, all right? This needs to be blue, okay?
Okay.
It's blue.
Okay, right.
It's blue.
Excellent. That's working so far.
I think
1 for 1.
this is going to work. I think this is going to work. So
Well done, mate. Well done.
Now, I think if you spent hours with that instead of 1 hour,
Sure.
what you can start doing is just piecing together A/B sections.
Yeah.
Great for practicing chords, great for practicing leads over stuff.
Absolutely.
Like if you've got, a song that's got a particular weird chord sequence, then plumb that in, bang your leads over the top.
Yeah. And you were saying before, that quantizes your rhythm as well.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if the loop you play is not in time, because it chops it off.
To match up with the drums.
To match up with the drums.
Great.
Blimey, O'Reilly.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's pretty creative in certain hands.
Sure.
Certainly good for rhythm practice, etc. As we said before, I will just say it again. Please watch Boss's full demo on it, because it does a lot of stuff. You can load in loops. It has MIDI, etc., etc. But kind of interesting.
Great.
Right, Dan. Finally, one of the questions that probably after how do I use a looper, the next question is
where does it go on my chain?
Yeah. And we've put the RC-10 and the Clone Looper deliberately at the beginning and the end of the effects chain to show you what happens.
Perfect.
So what are the considerations, Dan?
Okay. If you have a looper at the start of your chain, what's going to happen is the looper is going to record your guitar going in, and then what goes out will be affected by anything after it. Okay, so for example, if we just go back to the looper section without the rhythm.
Now you're asking. Right, so I need to change this back to green mode, I think.
Okay. There we go.
There you go. So so this should work now. All right, so I'm going to clear the loop.
Great.
It should work. Should work.
So if you can just play me, I'll turn everything off here and just play me a rhythm. Perfect.
Okay.
So there's nothing on. We don't have any effects on. The guitar is basically going into the RC-10 and straight to the amplifiers. That'll do.
That'll do.
So we have our loop.
Yep.
And that's in loop 1. Now, anything that I add after that is going to affect that sound. So for example, if I have some overdrive. Okay.
Which could be really useful if that's what you want.
Sure. Now, I'm going to show you a trick in a second.
All right.
I want you to play exactly the same loop.
Yep.
But we're going to use this one instead. Let me just make sure this is all cleared.
That was good.
Really good.
Attention to detail.
Really good. Let me just
double click. Stop.
Okay. So that will work. Okay. And so that's in that loop, but now obviously that's at the end and that's recorded what's going into it. So if I add anything before it, obviously it doesn't make any difference.
So the great benefit of that is now, because it's at the end of your effects chain, so you've got all the other pedals and then the looper, if you step on other pedals now and you want to play something lead over that, you can add sound to it.
Whereas if we try to do it with this one,
Yep. Which could be cool if that's what you want, but so the learning is stick the looper at the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
I personally prefer it there because you can then loop stuff up.
but if you want to get really crazy,
Okay, I know what's coming.
magic.
Awesome. So you're feeding one looper into the other,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you were affecting it with effects in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think that's probably a good place to leave it, because that's where exponents of looping come in, and it moves beyond where we probably need to get somebody in, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I hope that was useful. What did we do? We did, what is a looper? It's recording a sound over a given period of time and playing stuff over the top as many times as you want. Stack it on. We talked about why that's difficult in terms of trying to tap things in time and get it in time. And if you do find that difficult, what can be useful is to use a metronome to help you get it set up, or indeed something like the RC-10R, which has quantized loops, so the loop plays over a specific time period, so you can't go out of time. And then we talked about, where does a looper go on your pedal board? That's felt like a pretty good introduction to looping.
Yeah, I think so. That'll edit down to a cozy 9 minutes. There we go. Awesome. Cheers, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Also, a massive thanks to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is...
Anderson's Music of Guildford, Surrey, from whence I bought this.
Oh, nice. I have my Iron one now as well.
Yeah.
I really like that.
I
It's
tell you,
great.
the audio in it is really good too. One of the annoyances I have with some other loopers is they don't sound very good. That
Okay.
one sounds really good.
Also, to our friends in Australia.
Pedal Empire of Brisbane, Queensland. We hope everyone is doing okay there with the blinking horrible bushfires that are going on.
No, my friends nearly lost their farm on the weekend. Nearly. One of the guys that has a farm near theirs lost his.
Wow.
In Adelaide. So yes, it's
Really scary.
Yeah,
Really
scary.
scary.
Also, if you feel so inclined, there are some links below. If you're interested in any of this stuff, especially in America.
Yes,
Is that
click on
correct?
them. Click on them.
Click on them.
Affiliate links. We get a bit of cash to help fund the show. So do that if you feel so inclined. Or indeed, go to thatpedalshowstore.com where you can buy...
We're
Oh,
twinsing today.
we're wearing the same
I know,
thing.
so I thought I'd have
So
to.
you've got your
add-
lumberjack shirt on. I like that.
You like this?
Is it new?
It's a Christmas present.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
I thought I'd accessorize.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.